you.
Good morning, Kim. Welcome to Holly's Hot Wedding Tip.
Good morning, Holly, and thank you so much.
So you also told me that you have some hot tips for if you were having a friend or someone else perform your wedding ceremony. So someone other than a hired minister. What are your 5 tips for having friends and family do your ceremony?
Oh, I have some great tips. So it is very popular to have somebody that you know and love perform your wedding ceremony, and it is a great way to include someone very special in your wonderful day. So having said that, I do have some great tips for couples who want to have a friend or family member officiate their wedding. First of all, choose someone that will treat your wedding with the reverence that your ceremony deserves. It's a very important day. It's a very big commitment legally and emotionally that you're making. So have somebody that you think will do a really good job and take it seriously. They can introduce humor and whatnot into the ceremony, but taking the job itself very seriously, because it is a very important component in your wedding. My second tip is to make sure that the person you want to perform your wedding is actually comfortable speaking in front of groups, and particularly in front of groups of people that they have to see again, because there's nothing worse than messing up in front of people who are going to razz you about it for the rest of your life. So that's an important one too. So making sure that they're comfortable to perform that duty. I do get a lot of couples who have chosen someone call at the last minute because their friend or family officiant has gotten cold feet and has decided not to do it. So that is a big tip for that. Third is to verify with your planner or your coordinator the length of the ceremony that is needed. So planners and coordinators will plan out a timeline for how the day is supposed to go. And if your planner has allotted 30 minutes for a ceremony and your friend or family member only comes up with 5 minutes, we're left with a lot of, dead air, so to speak, which is not a good thing to fill. It also works in the opposite way. If you go over the time, then you take away time for the couple's photos, you push back cocktail hour, and the whole timeline then gets left in the dust. So that's a very, very important point, to fill the time that you've been allotted in a good way. Number 4, again, very important part, but learn the legalities. So in order to marry somebody else or perform a ceremony in Colorado, you do need to be an ordained member of the clergy, so an ordained minister, which fortunately it's free and very easy to jump online and get ordained. So couples should make sure that their preferred officiant does that, just to dot the I's and cross the T's. It's also important that they know the legal requirements for the ceremony. So when the officiant pronounces you married at that point, not when you sign the license. So knowing what parts you have to have in the ceremony and what parts are up for negotiation or interpretation is a very important thing. And then also filling out the license correctly. That's a big one too. So last but certainly not least is a very helpful tip, and that is get your friend or family member officiant some coaching. Professional officiants will happily help you prepare a ceremony. They will give tips and whatnot for how to perform the ceremony, best practices, how everything's supposed to go. And coaching is a very worthwhile investment to make sure that your friend or family member has all the tools available to them to make a really memorable ceremony for you. So those are my 5 top tips for a friend or a family member officiant.
Those were fabulous. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Holly.